5 MOTU superfans who have been talking about Masters of the Universe for decades have seen the movie. Hey everyone, thanks again for checking out Masters Cast, the first and longest running He-Man and She-Ra variety show on the internet, right? I am Jon, sometimes known as the Shadow.
I am Katie, also known as Rainbow Bright.
I'm Skeletor, also known as Martin.
I am Leanne, also known as Stratosmacca.
And I'm Josh the Lioncourt, also known as Lioncourt.
And should we pinch ourselves? Because we said we wouldn't believe it until we were in the theater, right?
That is right.
That is right. We actually all got to experience a live action Masters of the Universe movie that we've been waiting for since late 1987 when Skeletor told us he would be back, and then he wasn't.
A 40-year wait is over. At 39
Why'd you take so long, Martin?
I have
Now,
to take
fair
this off.
warning.
I can't understand a word anyone's saying.
Oh no!
Because these are just on Skeletor's hood and not my ears. It's an impractical prop, but it felt appropriate for the occasion.
You need bone conducting earphones. I crack myself up.
You're up on that tech, Katie, you know. So this warning to anyone watching, there will be spoilers because we are 5 super fans. So we can't not talk about like the details. It's just the way we are. But what I want to know is, you sat down, guys, you sat down in the theater for your showing of this. And like, how surreal? Were you nervous? What was your anticipation? I was like anxious. I was nervous. I couldn't believe it was happening. Like, I wanted this movie to happen for so long. And I'm actually so glad that they waited this long, because I don't think we would have got this same movie even 10 years ago.
Yeah, all of those emotions sound pretty much exactly the same for me. It was very much like, oh my God, I'm sitting in this theater. It's literally about to happen. Like, they're doing the previews, the ads, whatever. And then it cuts to something else. And I was like, oh, is it time? And it was perfect. It was wonderful.
I got a Masters of the Universe toy ad before the movie started, which I wasn't expecting. So when I walked in, the toy ad was in the background. So that was a nice sort of welcome to the movie. But I went in with, I'd already kind of made up my mind that I was going to enjoy the film because I'd seen, everyone had been positive that I'd seen. I wasn't going in dreading that it was going to be terrible, which when you find out they're going to make a huge, massive blockbuster adaptation of an old property, your first thought is, oh no, like, please be good. And thankfully that was not the experience at all, but I went in very excited, and I remained excited until the end.
I went in having read a lot of reviews, having already read the junior novelization, which only covers about half the movie or so. And even despite all that being pretty positive, and the reviews that were coming out were almost all good, I still went in there just, muttering under my breath, please just don't be bad. You don't need to be the greatest movie ever made, but just don't be bad. And I was nervous, and also just kind of wondering. I was there, with family, and wondering what they were going to think of it. And everybody came out of the theater having loved it. So I think that my wish was fulfilled.
Nice.
Good.
So I think for me, Jon and I were able to go to the New York City premiere on June 1st. And So I had people like around me, like John and other people I was talking to, so that kind of helped the nerves a little bit. Because otherwise I would have been freaking out.
Yeah, it was kind of a calming experience and a full circle kind of fan moment. Leanne and I were sat in between our good friend Adam Tyner, and anyone who was longtime He-Man fans on the internet back of the original days of the fandom. He had the He-Man site that eventually morphed into the original He-Man.org. He was part of the Scrolls of Grayskull newsletter and the Guardians of Grayskull mailing list. So like we're talking old school fans, in the mid '90s.
Love
so
it.
it was kind of surreal, full circle moment to be experiencing the movie with you guys. I have to say, and I do think the excitement of the movie was catapulted because that audience had a mixture of fans along with press and other YouTube social media type people, but they were very reactive crowd. There was cheering, there was clapping, so I think that that added to it, but also was distracting for me
It was.
as well, because sometimes I couldn't hear what was going on in the movie because people were screaming because they were so happy. But that just goes to show you they were into the movie. So I went into that situation knowing that would probably happen, and that I would subsequently watch it. Yeah, I'd be watching it every night anyway at the theater. And I'm on my, what was it? Yesterday was my fourth. As of the recording of this episode, I've seen it 4 times.
Nerd. We love
so,
you.
Yes, nerd. I am carrying my nerd card proudly on the Masters of the Universe movie. Not the end credit scenes, okay? Because oftentimes people focus, I feel, on the end credit scenes. This happens with Marvel movies too. I feel like all people want to talk about is, oh my gosh, the end credit that was literally 45 seconds. While I do appreciate the end credits, and we'll get to those because, oh my God. But I want to know, what was your guys' favorite moment in the actual movie? So, from start to finish, the bulk of the movie, what was your favorite moment as a fan? What got you? And for me, what I thought was weird was even though I saw it in the trailers so many times, I absolutely teared up when the sorceress appears, in Adam's eye and is like, say the words. And, I started to cry. And then they did the first transformation sequence. So I would say that was my favorite moment, but there was so many awesome moments in this movie that it's hard to pinpoint it. But that, I think, was the first time I teared up. Besides, I did tear up at the beginning of the movie when the music started.
Yes.
But anyway,
I just don't think I think it would be hard for anyone to pick their favorite moment as being anything other than that first transformation sequence. It's what we all grew up with. It's what we've all been waiting for in a live action movie and what have you. It was halfway through the movie, so at least to me, that it felt like, yeah, if you stretched out a Filmation cartoon into 2.5 hours, this is about when Adam would be turning into He-Man in an episode, right? It was so just perfectly done, and it was. Like you said, I was getting choked up during that moment as well. It's like, how do you not? How do you not if you're a fan?
I'll tell you one moment. It's not necessarily my favorite, but the first one that made me just kind of go, oh, wasn't expecting that, and I loved it, and it was adorable, was Baby Cringer talking.
okay.
Just Baby Cringer at all, but it somehow had not occurred to me that he would talk, which was stupid after the fact. I'm like, well, of course he's going to talk if Battle Cat's going to talk. But he was just so adorable, and it was Cringer, and yeah, I just had to shout that out.
I think mine was the as a big Skeletor guy, just the first appearance of Skeletor in the film. That whole scene where they capture King Randor and Randor sort of fights against the guards. I thought that was executed well. And just the first appearance of him walking across the bridge with the Havoc staff and that sort of reveal. I'd seen that clip as a preview and I wish I hadn't watched it in advance. But just his whole first scene I thought was great, with the evil laughter kind of trailing off. He's like, when I raise my fist like that, I'm done. I thought it was like such a perfect introduction to this version of the character. I was, very excited.
For me, I think, I don't know if it's, well, okay. So the two moments that I cried was the first one was right as soon as Cringer showed up in the MGM logo.
Yeah,
at the very beginning.
That's
Even
the
though,
thing,
like,
yeah.
I think it was just this overwhelming emotion, and I think that it was just, 40 years of being like, this is never going to happen. Like, we're never going to see another He-Man movie, and there it is, like, on screen. And so I cried at that. I also cried when Cringer showed back up in the prison.
Oh yeah,
That was just like a massive, like, I was like, oh my god. But I loved the transformation sequence. But like those two Cringer moments like really got me.
Yep.
Interesting. That's like 2 votes there for Cringer. Go him.
Yeah.
I think they're missing out on the Cringer merch. Because
Yes.
my sister, who
Oh my God.
loved the movie, and she's not like, familiar super fan like me. She only just hears about it, right? Like through her entire childhood. But that was the first thing she asked. She was like, I want like a Cringer plushie.
Love it. She knows where it's at. I agree.
Well,
Cringer
Martin, you
got a
brought
lot
up-
more screen time than Battle Cat did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he absolutely
For
did.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, you mentioned the whole crescendo thing with Skeletor, and I was very impressed at the way the film was able to still make Skeletor funny, for lack of a better term, kind of like he is in Filmation, yet still menacing, like a Frank Langella-y Skeletor, which I actually, and I think Martin will appreciate this, given he loves the New Adventures of He-Man, it actually reminded me a lot of Campbell Lane's performance from the New Adventures of He-Man. Like,
Yeah.
because Campbell Lane doesn't have as much of a hee voice either, right? Like, he was had a bit more gravitas with Skeletor. That is what the performance kind of was giving me an homage to, which unfortunately a lot of people might not pick up because they haven't given the New Adventures that fair chance. Josh. But
No, I totally agree. He reminded me the most of Campbell Lane, who is, of course, my favourite Skeletor. Just like the smoothness and the way he delivered some of the lines. And I did see, like just earlier, I saw a clip of Travis Knight talking about what influences they'd taken from different stuff. And he did reference the New Adventures as like an influence, but he didn't say what the influence was. So I don't know if that was just like some drawings on Adam's wall or if it was something more than that. But I like to think someone on that team watched the New Adventures and went, oh, maybe make his voice a bit more like that. So
you mentioned the drawings on his wall. That is something I cannot wait until this movie is available either on physical media or on streaming on Amazon, because there's so much you miss in those shots. Like on my 4th viewing, I saw what I believe is a drawing of Manny faces on the wall. Like just briefly, you see it kind of in the background. I'm like, wait, was that Manny faces? And, to other people, they may say that has nothing to do with the plot. Who cares? But these are little Easter eggs that us fans just, it's just a lovely nod that we like to see. Like if there's going to be a drawing on the wall, why not it be of, a character he remembers from his childhood. So I think there's even more Easter eggs in this film than any of us were able to pick up by just, being in awe in the movie theater. So I think that's going to be a spectacular treat for us when it hits streaming and physical media.
So how many episodes are we going to do once it's out and we can go scene by scene?
We'll be like, we are now discussing the first 10 minutes of the movie for 2 hours.
You could do. There's a lot in that first 10 minutes.
Right?
That's true. That's true. I do think we should address the elephant in the room really quick, though. Earth. Everyone was scared. The trailer didn't lie, right? It told us we would have Earth scenes. I think that was a good move, right? Manage your expectations. How about the fact that Earth was like 20 minutes? And that was it in a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. So it's like you got a He-Man Eternia movie with Earth bonus, right? Like that's basically what it was. And I thought it was manageable. I liked it. I thought it helped develop Prince Adam as a person, like his character development. I'm not looking for character development on, other characters. Like, this is a He-Man movie, in my opinion, whereas the 87 movie was Skeletor. So I like that they focus so much on the character development of Adam and He-Man to really sell him. But like, what did you guys think about that and kind of the Earth aspect?
It's funny because the Earth section is like you were saying, it's very short, especially in comparison to the length of the entire film, and to the point where really the only apart from having some fun moments like the Dolph Lundgren cameo and things like that, right? It's almost the only purpose that it serves is to give Adam the human resources background, like from a story perspective. Like that's basically it. Yeah. Adam could have spent the last 15 years anywhere on any planet of any universe, and the rest of the story could have remained essentially the same. And so in that way, it felt almost superfluous. Like I was like, did they really need to do that? It's fine. It works. It gives the movie a little more length, and it works for this version of the origin story. Not my favorite version of the origin story. We've gotten so many over the years, but this is a totally acceptable version to me. And it was, the Earth stuff was fine. If there had been any more of it, it would have been too much. They got a good balance, and that was fine.
I think we should be very happy that since they did still go with Earth, they at least put in the part that Queen Marlena is from Earth when she tells the sorceress, send him to my home. Because the 87 movie, those references were removed. They were in the original script, that we covered back in 20 years ago on the podcast. So I appreciated that they at least put that in there because it makes it have just a little bit of a connection. And
he uses her last name at the office as well while he's on Earth.
Oh, Josh, you mentioned the Dolph Lundgren cameo, which I thought was very well done. I'm glad he was not King Grayskull, as we kind of thought he would be. I liked that he was the guy in the gym when he was like, "You're taking my spot." That was like really good writing, I thought, on his scene. But did you guys catch, because I didn't catch this on my first viewing, and our friend Adam had to mention it to us, but did you notice his date on Earth? Her name was Julie.
No! I did not notice that.
Yeah. When Adam told us that, he was like, "Did you notice the date's name was Julie?" And I was like, "No," probably because I couldn't hear it because everyone was like, but I was like, it's little nods like that obviously general audiences, like, my dad watching the movie didn't get that reference, obviously. But I love when they insert things like that for fans. That's it. it's woven into the story, right? Like it's just like a normal thing. He's on a date, he calls her Julie, but instead of calling her, Jamie, which has nothing to do with anything, they decide to use Julie. Like I think that's really cool. So it just goes to show you the amount of like research and love that went into crafting this with keeping the fans in mind. I think is something we have to remember and be appreciative
So-
of.
I also wasn't. I did not expect the good journey from him.
Right?
Oh.
I thought that was great.
Yes. Yeah, I
100%.
expected, like, I figured he was going to have a cameo before going into this, but I thought it would be a really quick kind of blink and you miss it. Like sometimes they did that with Lou Ferrigno in the Hulk movies. It was always just a one-liner, and it was just like, oh, that was Lou. Okay, he's gone now. So the fact that they actually gave him like multiple lines to say, and also included the good journey, was, oh god, me and my husband were both just like the whole time.
I mean, it made me think: is it actually He-Man? Is he playing me? That bit took it from like a cameo from him to maybe it's actually He-Man from the original movie. Like I started thinking about it afterwards. Like, is he
Like
still on Earth? Yeah, like a multiverse type thing.
It could be. Our buddy Paul C. Stricker he didn't specifically tie it to the 87 movie, but he messaged me the other day and he's like, do you think he could be like an alternate He-Man? And he knew that Adam was also going to be the champion, so he was trying to connect and give him some advice or something. I don't know. He also drew a connection there, so I like that. I like that theory a lot.
Well, it was a cool interaction too, because Dolph never got to be Adam, right? So like in that scene, because he's not in a He-Man costume, it could kind of be like his older version of Adam. You know what I mean? Like I kind of looked at it too as that. So I thought that was kind of neat. They did some interviews together, Nicholas Galitzine and Dolph Lundgren. And, Dolph was saying like how like it, he didn't get the chance to play Adam, like to really flesh out the entire character because, Adam wasn't in his script. So, and he seemed appreciative, or Nicholas seemed appreciative, that he got to do both roles. Like he wasn't just He-Man the entire time. And thankfully for us, it wasn't one of those situations. I think, Josh, you just mentioned earlier how, the transformation sequence came about halfway through the movie, maybe a little bit before halfway, and that it just felt like a longer Filmation episode. Can I just say, thank goodness he became He-Man, like not at the end of the movie, but in the movie itself, I think really helps sell this to an audience.
Yeah.
That would have made us so angry if they waited to do that at the very end and we hardly got to see him as He-Man at all. Like the newer Karate Kid movie that came out like a year or so ago, like I was so livid that Daniel didn't show up until almost the end of the movie and he was barely in it. And I was like, what? This is not what I came to see. Daniel is supposed to be like main character. So yeah, I was very glad they didn't do a switcheroo with this one.
I was going to also just throw in there while we're still on the Earth portion, which we should probably not spend too long on because it's the least interesting part of the movie. But as far as Easter eggs go, that we were talking about earlier, I thought it was fun. I read an article that was pointing out that when Adam goes to the comic shop and finds the sword in one of the glass cases in there is full of Big Jim toys, which were famously... the molds for which were famously reused for the original Masters toy line, like Battle Cat and Panther and Screech and Zor and all that. So really fun that it had a bunch of those in there.
I have to say one more thing about Earth, though, because you just mentioned it. It was hilarious when he was trying to get the sword off of the Torak statue in that comic book shop. Like... even my dad was like laughing loudly at that portion when we saw the movie together, and I just have to say I think it had such a great balance of campy humor, and I don't say campy humor in a negative sense, but the Filmation cartoon certainly had humorous aspects to it. So I'm glad they kept that in this movie, because this movie definitely to me, and again, this is a good thing, not a bad thing, seems like a love letter to the Filmation cartoon more so than any other aspect of Masters of the Universe. I think it's very grounded in Filmation, which I think personally is a good move. I've mentioned this before. I don't need Masters of the Universe, Lord of the Rings. I need Masters of the Universe. Like let it be its own thing. So I definitely appreciated that seems to be the direction that the director wanted.
And I mean, Filmation is what made the property popular in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like what made it huge, right? The biggest thing that was around for kids at the time. And I think that Mattel has often over the years lost sight of that to one degree or another in their trying to sell toys. Like there were parts of Revelation in particular that just felt like toy commercial, right? Which the Filmation cartoon never, it was accused of, but never felt like, right? So, so yeah, I think that it was the right move to push all the nostalgic buttons from the Filmation cartoon.
Absolutely.
And the balance was good. I went into this really afraid that it was going to be way too far for me because I like the darker, more serious side of the franchise, and you know, like I loved She-Ra and the Princesses of Power for the most part, but there were times in that show where, particularly with Swiftwind, where they pushed it too far. Too far, and they lost me at moments, right? Overall, the series was good, but there were times when I really wish they had dialed it back a little bit, and I was afraid this one was going to push it too far a lot, and it didn't. They found a good balance. You still feel like there are real stakes. Skeletor is still really menacing, and they've got some humor in there, and whimsy and whatever. And I mean, if they want to, they could take a sequel in a little bit, you know, more serious. I'm not saying get rid of the humor, but take it a little bit more serious, a little bit darker edge to it, the way, you know, something like the Harry Potter films do, right? Like the first movie and book is very fun and whimsical, and not a lot of dark to it. It's a little bit silly at points and whatever, right? But then you get into the second one, and it's a little bit darker story, and they progressively get, you know, darker as the series goes on. They could do something like that here because they weren't all in on the campiness, and I'm so relieved about that wasn't all we ended up with.
Yeah.
Now,
Agreed.
Going from the fun, campy humor of the movie, on the other side, something that I was a bit taken aback with at first was the amount of violence in the movie, specifically when it came to He-Man. As we've stated on the podcast before, I'm not that big of a fan of, like, you know, He-Man turns into the Hulk and he goes on a rage, right? Like he did in the Revelation cartoon. Now, I don't think this did that same thing. What I appreciated with this was they did attempt to, there was, you know, obviously Adam had a problem with the power when he first got it, right? Like, because he rips off Trapjaw's arm, he shoots down all of those goblin knights. Notice it was never a human, right? It was always like one of those goblin looking Skeletor knight people, you know, Karg, all of these ones that look fantastical, right?
Poor Karg.
Yeah, poor Karg, right?
Karg was impaled. He got like the most brutal death of what every character. He was just like, impaled for like 10 minutes on the ceiling at one point.
So that was like, am I right? Like that was a little jarring, and it took me a little bit to get used to the fact that, first off, I feel from a movie making standpoint, it was needed. This was a live action adaptation action movie in 2026, right? Like it can't be, I think it would get heavily criticized if He-Man punches the screen, right? Like the cartoon or something, and he's not really, you know, doing what he can with his power. So I did appreciate the attempts to explain it. You know, obviously Adam or He-Man has several conversations about the brute strength that he has been illustrating in the fights. But I would say that kind of was like a criticism, I guess, of mine, is I thought maybe a couple places it went too far, but at the same time, the fight choreography was just so amazing that I was just awestruck by what was going on the screen as well. So like, even though he does stab and impale Karg to the wall, and then I was like also okay with it. Like could maybe I'm allowing my fandom or my portrayal of He-Man to grow with the times, because I was so happy that we received this movie. I don't know, like, how did that hit you? Since that's
I kind of felt the same way, John.
Yeah.
It was a little bit jarring at first. Like there was also that point where the one guy, I think it's He-Man, throws him into Spike or Spikes, and so that's how he dies.
Oh yeah,
The Spike or Spikes. But at the same time, the guys like scream and stuff. That was like really funny.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, it was.
that made me think of exactly the part I think that went too far. This would be my, not Karg, okay, because that was actually kind of funny. When he ripped off Goatman's horn and stabbed him in the jugular and then punched him off of Snake Mountain, I think he could have just punched him off of Snake Mountain, and that would have been the He-Man move. Like, not that would be one thing I would have cut from the movie, I think, is the whole like and ugh. But it was Goatman, a character no one cares about. And this is no fault of the actor. I'm not. It's just Goatman is not it's a very niche character in Masters of the Universe, so I can see why that was one of the ones that they, perhaps killed off. But like, ooh, what a way to die!
You will note that I predicted the death of Goatman in the last podcast. I was like, he's definitely going to do it if he dies. And I was sitting there thinking, oh God, I was right. He did. Like, he died horribly.
It's all your fault, Martin.
all credit, because you know what, the figure of Goatman is actually very cool, and it did win me over on Goatman as a character, because I thought, you know what, he actually does fit in. He looks like he belongs with the other warriors, so I thought they used him well.
I do agree that the violence took me out a bit, and the language, again, there wasn't a ton of it, but just the fact that there was any was like, that doesn't mesh in my brain with He-Man. It feels very foreign. But I do get what you're saying, John, with it being an action film in 2026 and trying to appeal to a large audience. I get it. But yeah, those were a few things that just kind of hit my brain like, I'm not sure about that. But
it also allowed them to do that end fight with Skeletor, which I thought was amazing, when Skeletor actually is like, all right, I'm going to beat you down. Like, he actually, he jumps into action, which you don't see him really do in the entire movie, right? He's letting everyone else do his dirty work. I think that scene being at the end will make a lot of general audience leave with a smile on their face, because they will have saw that epic He-Man versus actual Skeletor with an actual fight at the end. And, little nods to us. We got to see his the thunder punch, when his fist glowed and things. So I think like just little things like that. Perfect. So it's like, I have to allow like, if I loved that, I have to allow some levels of violence, in the cartoon or in the movie, and I do think it's overall justified.
But I also like that they put that line in there to kind of say he does have this power. He wishes he didn't have to use it.
Yes,
that's also true.
That was really well done.
Yeah.
And it's like
he was pulling his punches. He wasn't even using all of it.
It's like,
go ahead, Josh.
It's like, I'm kind of of two minds about it. Like, they could have gone in other directions, right? Like, they could have He-Man's supposed to be the most powerful man in the universe, right? So, like, couldn't he found other ways of subduing these guys than killing them per se, right? Like, so you could go that way, and or on the flip side of it, right? Like the villains are so powerful that this is the only way to stop them, right? So it's like you can look at it in either direction, and they went with the latter, I think, more than anything, and I think that's fine. That is more common in traditional like epic fantasy type stories, right? Like that's what you're rooting for in that kind of a story, is the bad guys to lose, to get killed, to be vanquished in whatever way, and usually it's terrible, violent ways. So, it could have been done differently, but I think I'm okay with how they handled all of that, particularly because they put it in the context that they did. They had him struggle with it. They, it was you have to do this to protect others kind of mentality that they were pushing, and I think that works.
And there was no blood, which I found interesting. It's like, we're going to include the violence, but we're not going to include any blood or gore. So that was a good trade-off, I think.
You know what? I didn't think about that. That is an excellent point, Katie. That is a very excellent point. And maybe that's what helped me at subsequent viewings, I got more and more used to the violent aspect of it. And I think it does help that there's no blood, now that you mentioned that. There was not blood splattering everywhere, and even when he rips off Trapjaw's arm, but it's a mechanical arm. Like, I understand Trapjaw's in pain, but like at the same time, it was not a human arm. It was
he can replace it.
He replaces it later
until he blows up.
Yes,
escaped. We don't know.
And why I'm okay with those casualties. Besides Goatman, because nobody cares, but just because, again, not the actor, the character is not a popular character, like from the toy line. But like Trapjaw is certainly a popular one. But you know what? This also allows room for new. We have so many characters in Masters of the Universe that if you do unfortunately kill some of them off in the movie, that just means we get new bad guys and some new heroes and things like that in subsequent sequels. So that you don't have the overcrowdedness, right? Type aspect. So I think that was a pretty good move too.
Speaking of Trapjaw too, one thing I got a kick out of, if I don't know if anyone else noticed, but the actor playing him in the few lines Trapjaw has during that, especially during that battle, when the heroes are fleeing their camp or whatever, and because they've been attacked, and the guy doing Trapjaw, he does the Trapjaw voice. Like, he sounds very similar to the Filmation Trapjaw, which I got a kick out of. It's like, oh, I would know who this was anyway from the voice, and that was pretty fun for me.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the amount of spotlight they gave to Trapjaw. Like, he was there from like really early in the movie right until the end. They made him the personal sort of nemesis of Man-at-Arms. He got more dialogue than the others, so I thought it was a cool thing just to like focus on one sort of really menacing villain, then give him like a proper sort of character arc throughout the movie, kill him off, and then give him his big moment.
I think that was a smart move, pairing him with Man-at-Arms, like you said. Like,
both with the gadgets.
I feel like Evil-Lyn got a little bit lost in the shuffle. It's talking of voices, Josh. Like, I think one of the things that took me out of Evil-Lyn, she had more of like a high pitched voice instead of more of like a gravitas to like a Evil-Lyn. I didn't think she was utilized as much as I would have hoped. Like, I feel like Trapjaw got more of the spotlight from a villain's perspective. Like, I feel like Evil-Lyn only got to kind of do her thing right at the end of the movie. Like when she sneaks
Yeah.
off, like I thought that was perfect. And the end credits scene, I thought she did really well. But like otherwise, I thought they did not utilize her as much
I would like to
would've
see
liked
more of Evil-Lyn in a sequel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One, and when we talk about the end credits, yeah, obviously I think she would be a pivotal moment in the sequel for what she would do or deliver something to, right?
Yeah. Her eye roll was fantastic. I'll give her that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite moments because I forget what Skeletor says, something about like, oh, this is how a real man will handle power or something. And then she's like, oh, give me a break.
But yeah, I 100% agree with you. Her voice didn't quite do it for me. But yeah, it's
My
cool.
favorite Evil-Lyn moment in the movie was when she like pretended to know who Mossman was and just made up a name for him and was like, Moss Man. And Mossman's just like,
Well, did
My name's
anyone
Kyle.
Did
Poor
any
Moss Man.
character really surprise you? Because as you know, longtime listeners of the original podcast we have here know that I'm not the biggest Teela fan. I was absolutely floored at Teela's performance, the actress. I thought that's the Teela I've always wanted, right? Like, you know, she was not like snarky and mean to Adam. Like, I mean, you know, they had their little jabs, but like, I just really thought she came off as a true friend. I thought she came off as a true warrior, like a headstrong, I'm going to get this done. This is my purpose. Like, I thought her portrayal probably for me was like, He-Man and Adam, I think was my number one, but I actually might put Teela above Skeletor, just for the fact that this portrayal of Teela has actually made me like the character. Like,
That's a big
as a
deal.
fan.
I think Teela was my favorite character.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I was really shocked. I was not expecting to like her as much as I did.
Mhm.
But she was a badass. But she also had that warmth to her. I thought they had good chemistry together.
Mhm.
Fantastic chemistry.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, she really stood out for me. I mean, and probably He-Man would be next because I thought he did just a fantastic job as He-Man and Adam. And but Teela surprised me a lot.
Mhm.
Her characterization was a mix of a lot of the different Teelas we've gotten over the year, but I felt like it leaned more into the Filmation version. But it was a great version of the character, and I'll say I think about a quarter of the way into the young adult novel for that's all centered around her, called Daughter of Eternos. It's really good. So if you like the character, go read that book. So far, anyway, I'm enjoying it. So
Cool. Yeah, she was a standout, both the actress and the character. Absolute standout. The almost kiss scene cracked me up. She's just like, nah, I don't need that. I'm good.
Well, and I feel like those type of scenes are like often done, but this one, I don't know, to me felt fresh, like the way the actors handled it. And even when she did that whole like, you're my buddy, like
We make such good friends. Oh god.
well, you know, so that scene, I mean, I read the junior novelization ahead of seeing the movie, so I got a lot of spoilers going in, which was fine because that helps me follow the movie, not being able to actually see the screen, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's at least to me, when I read the book version of that scene, it comes across strictly as, oh, Adam has misread what's happening in this moment. And in the movie, it comes across as, no, this is what's happening. And Teela backs away from it. That was
Yeah.
kind of, how it comes across more in the film. She knows, and she's decided, no, this is not a good idea right now.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Poor He-Man, unlucky in love.
Unlucky.
Teela also excellent, but a character I would like to give a shout out to, who I never thought I would say, oh, that character was great. Fisto,
Yeah.
I really liked Fisto in the movie. I thought he every time he was on screen, I thought he was he was very charismatic, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Got some quite funny moments, but also he wasn't treated as a joke despite the fisting thing that they kept making of. He was treated seriously. And I thought he was just cool. It was a cool performance, and it made me interested in a character that I've never really cared about before. His little moment where he's holding the sword, and he's like, "It looks bigger because it's it looks smaller because it's in my hand." And she's like, "Your other hand is the big hand." I thought they used him really well.
Yeah. Honestly, kind of the trio with him, Ram Man, and Mekaneck. They were all just such a joy. Anytime they were on screen, I just couldn't wait to see what they did next. And yeah, there was a little bromance with Fisto and Ram Man for sure, especially. They just, the way they played off of each other was hysterical. And
they did a lot with them, despite them not having a huge amount of dialogue or screen time. I thought they characterized all those heroic warriors really well in the minimal sort of bits and pieces we got of them across the film.
Yeah. Well said.
And poor Moss Man, people. Poor Moss Man.
Moss Man disintegrated
now,
again.
right?
Yeah.
Several times.
My hope is that Moss Man grows back from the mulch that he has become, and therefore it appears in a future film.
So he can die another day. He's the Sean Bean character of He-Man now. How many times can he die?
I made mulch.
Yes, but right, the type of character he is, he's the easiest one to bring back if they want to bring him back. So
just water him, and
I was convinced he would show up at the end as
a little fertilizer.
Yeah, just a little.
It could have been a little Groot version, like a baby Moss Man.
That's what I was expecting. Yeah, how you doing, Moss Man?
I want that.
Well, the Moss Man talk makes me think of this because both of their action figures smelled. I wanted to know if anyone else was confused when I was at this part of the movie I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
This is when Adam gives his, seminar on, getting behind yourselves in the dungeon, and they break down the cell, right, and escape. There's all this dust, I guess, from breaking out, and they all act like they can't breathe, and Fisto throws up. I was looking everywhere for Stinkor or Otifus. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I thought it was going to be a cameo, and it wasn't. It was literally just the dust. I was like, this is the biggest missed opportunity in the world of filmmaking. Because I was like, this is absolutely where Stinkor would appear. And, he's not even a character I care for. But if you're going to, that would have been perfect that he was maybe trying to stop them from, getting into the actual out of Snake Mountain or something. And I was like, where was Stinkor? It was when the Queen song was playing,
Yes.
I was just like,
Adam thought the same thing. It occurred to my husband before it did me, and I felt really stupid. But
well, because it's my eyes, I felt like, John, just sit here and enjoy this movie. You can't keep looking for every little hidden element, in the scenes, because it's distracting to not just pay attention. But I really thought he was going to be over in the corner, or something. Oh well.
somebody just backhands him and throws him
Yeah.
off. Yeah, I'm here for it. That can be in the extended edition, maybe.
Well, they did say there was a lot of cut footage, so it's possible that we could get a lot of, if it's stuff they're okay with revealing, of course.
Yeah.
You know, maybe on the 4K or something, physical release.
That would be amazing. I'm here for it. Speaking of distractions, real quick though, watching this film in Switzerland was a bit of I didn't like it because okay, you can find theaters that will play English movies here, but every single one of them is going to have 2 sets of captions at the bottom of the screen in German and in French. Every movie. So, and my eyes just gravitate toward captions. Like if it's on, I can't not read it. So I was trying so hard not to look at it. Even though it's in a different language, I know like enough German now that I'm always like, oh, maybe I'll learn some new vocabulary if I read the whatever. So I was trying really hard, like stop reading the captions. That was one thing. And then also in most Swiss theaters, in most movies, they do an intermission. And they just pick a random point in the movie and just stop it. It's usually very like, oh God, what just happened? Like we were literally at a theater once and that happened and a guy in front of us was like, what's going on? Like, it's okay. It's just intermission. So that just like took me out of it. And I can't quite remember at what point they did it in this film, but it was just like, no, I was into it. I was in the zone. Like, stop. Aww. So yeah, I overcame the whatever, but it just, I had to point out that made me really angry.
Well, perfect that you mentioned captions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't talked about Skeletor, right?
True.
And I feel like they really shied away from using Skeletor in the advertising, which I do think was not good. I do think he's a selling point of the movie in general. Just his look, right, is a selling point to teenage boys, to adults, right? Like the type of audience they would look for. But while I did enjoy Jared Leto's vocal performance of Skeletor and he was the one in the bodysuit. Got to give the guy props. I mean, I understand there's problems with him. I haven't researched it enough to understand, but I did enjoy his performance, but I am a little bit hard of hearing, I feel, and I could not always understand what Skeletor was saying. So I might have actually appreciated English subtitles.
I agree, John.
Yeah. Like, what do we feel? Like, how do we rank Skeletor? Because when someone goes and looks at this movie, I feel like a general audience is going in to see He-Man fight Skeletor.
Yeah, I think part of probably why we couldn't understand some of it too is just because he's got the bone face, you can't read lips, which helps me a lot when I'm watching something like that. If I can also see their mouth while they're talking, it helps a lot with comprehension. So that's probably one reason. And he was definitely doing some stylistic things with his mouth occasionally, which were really cool, but did sometimes lend to it not being as understandable. But overall, I really liked his take on Skeletor and his performance. I was like, I kind of want to hate this, but I don't. It's really good.
And he did do a little bit of the Alan Oppenheimer style laugh, just kind of mixed in with his laugh was almost a mix of Filmation and like 2002 series.
Yeah, it was all over the place in an interesting way. Yeah.
Yeah, but like there were definitely, particularly kind of at the beginning of when he would start laughing and then it would get big, it would build, right? But at the very beginning, it would kind of start with that sort of Filmation-y Skeletor, and that was kind of fun. Yeah, I thought he did good. I watched the trailer so many times that I kind of got used to what he was going for. It didn't bother me in the movie. My sister said that it wasn't that she didn't like it. It just felt weird to her because she is so used to the Filmation Skeletor.
I could see that.
I thought he was maybe the best part of the film. I was very, very won over after I always thought the design looked good, but when I first heard the voice, I wasn't convinced. I think I remember saying when we did our trailer breakdown, I was like, I don't know if that's the right way to go. But it like it immediately grew on me. I'm glad he didn't just try and do like an impersonation of Alan Oppenheimer, and they didn't put too much of an effect on it. It was just him trying to do sort of a, I think they described it as Shakespearean, and that was, he did feel like a Shakespearean actor. A lot of his performance, like the gestures and how he moved and talked. Reminded me a bit of Frank Langella at times as well. It felt like a bit was based on that. I mean, like, props to Jared Leto for the voice and the performance, but major props also to the VFX guys, because the skull and the face had so much character. Like, they would grind his jaw when he was talking, or the way that, like, his expressions changed. It wasn't just a static skull. Like, there's a bit at the end where he's kind of going like, huh? They allow him a bit more movement and a bit more expression. Like, it was a really good visual effect. Like,
one thing I thought came off really well was the little pinpoints of light in his eyes. It gave it the sense that his eyes were blinking, because they would go out every once in a while, and it was just like, but that was done really well.
They would move too. Like, I noticed, like as my eyes move, right? Like, he would kind of, like a normal eye would. It was just with the red. I thought the attention to detail, fantastic.
I also have to shout out his many outfits in the final scene, like the final confrontation, where we get Jim Bro Skeletor in a purple sleeveless hoodie. We get Date Skeletor in like a suit and tie, and then we get Office Human Resources Skeletor in like a short-sleeved striped purple and white shirt with tie and like braces and like jeans. And he's like, "What even is this?" And like, Human Resources. And he just like shakes his head in disbelief. Oh, Adam. Like, I take it back. That's my favorite moment of the film. I think that whole dream type.
Yes.
What I love about that sequence is I guess that's Skeletor kicking him down, right? Until he stabs him with the broken sword. What I love, though, is it brought us to the scene where Adam is in his Earth bedroom. The Sorceress appears, and I loved how cryptic she was talking. I was like, this is amazing. And, like, what sword? And, well, what do you say when you have the sword? And it's like, then she revealed the whole, like, the sword is not the vessel. Like, I chose you because of the characteristics and the humanity, that you hold within you. And what I loved about this is they did a similar thing, if you guys recall, in Princesses of Power, the Netflix She-Ra cartoon.
Indeed.
Right? Where her sword was broken, she had to reform the sword, and from within, she became She-Ra. So I feel like it's already kind of canonical in the mythos to do something like that. And the reason I love that is the reason why I dislike things like Revelation, where anyone can pick up the sword, they can say the magic words, and then they turn into some type of god, right? Which is what happened in Revelation with Skeletor and Evil-Lyn. I loved that when Skeletor pulled the sword up and said the words, nothing happened.
Yep.
Because he is not the chosen ones, right? He's not the one with the destiny. The destiny, something special, is the twins, right? Adam and Adora. They're the only two in my mind that wield this specialty. So I'm so grateful for that scene, because it solidifies that on a very large scale audience. That they are the ones that are destined to have the power, and you just can't grab the sword and take it. It's way more complicated, if you will, right, than just obtaining the sword.
I think I gasped when the sword broke. I was just like,
yes,
oh my God. what did they just do? And then my brain was like, okay, maybe it wasn't the real sword. Maybe it was a reproduction and he just thought it was the real sword. Maybe the real one's still back on Earth somewhere. But then I really liked how they treated it was within himself and then it reformed the sword. That was well done. But yeah, there was a few times like when He-Man gets stabbed, I'm just like, excuse me? And like Skeletor died. What? You killed Skeletor? It was, yeah, they did a good job of keeping even super fans on the edge of their seats. Like, what the heck are they going to do next? Nothing is off the table in this iteration. It's great. Great.
That kind of leads also to my jaw almost dropped when you get to the end of the movie after he, becomes He-Man, he defeats Skeletor. We knew that was going to happen. And they go back on Eternia, the Filmation music starts playing, and like Teela's in a bit more of a Filmation outfit, right? And then Adam gets his actual Prince Adam outfit, which I thought looked fantastic.
So great.
Action figure of that.
Yes.
And then they're laughing like the Filmation cartoon. He goes to like, hey, I gotta, Cringer and I gotta go over there for a little bit, and it's transform and like, that was just so perfectly done. And then I think I actually like the fact that they didn't use the He-Man theme until that moment. Like it made it all that more special. Like they kept the rest of the movie with that new kind of musical cue that they composed for the movie. And then they saved that like for really the sweet spot at the end. I thought that was brilliantly done.
So what was the line that Roboto said that they were all laughing at? Because we were laughing so hard that we missed it. Do you remember? Like in that scene when they start doing the Filmation laugh. Oh, oh, oh. Like I think it was something the Roboto said that they were laughing at. And I completely missed what it was because I was squealing so hard.
Let you know after viewing number 5.
All right. Yeah, I totally loved that scene. Oh, so.
Also, where was Adam going to go at the end there? He had to take care of.
Oh yeah, he was going to see Leanne's favorite character.
Oh yes, when they said Avion, I was like, oh, and Adam was like, what? And I was like,
I was so freaking excited.
It's like you didn't get your character, but at least they acknowledged the existence, right?
Yes.
Like it's sequel. And
I wasn't even expecting that. So I will take it.
Yes. Well, I have to say though, unfortunately you didn't get your favorite character. But unexpectedly, I think a lot of people got favorite characters in the end credit scenes, in which there are 3.
Yes.
So the first one is Orko delivering the moral of the story, which I thought was brilliant. Way to include him in the movie without having him in the movie. Like the fact that they put the moral at the end. Like, again, I've seen some negative reviews from movie critics of this movie. They do not know what Masters of the Universe is. A lot of them were expecting it to be Barbie for men. Okay? Like, I'm seeing this in the reviews. Because it's a Mattel toy, I guess. It's stupid. Masters of the Universe is not Barbie, and Masters of the Universe is going to be a Masters of the Universe movie, and that little part at the end, I feel, absolutely made it a Masters of the Universe movie.
Yes.
Like, so good. So good. So good.
Yeah, that felt almost a little like, I mean, there were several things in the film that could qualify as this, but one of those things they didn't have to give us, but they did anyway. And I love them so much for it. It was like, y'all didn't have to give us Orko and a moral, but God dang it, I'm so glad you did.
I want Orko to be more prominent in a sequel, though, for sure.
I think he would be. I don't think because of the way they used Roboto in this, which I think worked really well to accomplish the goals that were needed in that second half of the movie, you know, escaping that room and other little things that Roboto contributed to. I think it would have been too much with like Orko trying to do them with like bumbling magic. Because Roboto kind of filled that comic relief character situation very well. So I don't want to get rid of that in favor of Orko. So I think a sequel is perfect for whatever they want to do with him.
Yeah.
It's probably better to use once you've established the tone of the universe as well. Like you don't want to.
Yeah.
Orko does lead people to think that he's like bumbling comic relief, and I think he might have been too much because they were already throwing in like a fair bit of humor. Not too much, I didn't think, but obviously there was a lot of humorous moments and interactions, and you drunk man at arms and Roboto's being sarcastic and the jokes about the other like characters' names and things. So I think if you had Orko as well, like constantly gliding around making jokes, it might have just been a bit much. So maybe better to leave him until you can sort of set him up properly and characterize him properly.
Now I have to ask. Then it plays, you know, the title sequence. And then when you saw that it cuts to Duncan and Marlena, before they said anything, did you think it was coming? Because
No.
I was like, because they cut to them and you see her and she's not like happy. And I was like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Except I thought they would mention a daughter. I didn't think they would name the daughter. And I certainly didn't think they would show the daughter. So I peed my pants when, you know, it went from Eternia over to Etheria, and then you actually saw her and they name dropped Force Captain Adora. So like I was not expecting that. I always feel that they always try to say that there's too many complicated rights issues to put He-Man and She-Ra together ever again. There's excuse after excuse after excuse with this, and you always wonder, does it just come down to money? And that Amazon was like, we want this to be a successful IP franchise. We're going all out on it. You know, we're getting the Filmation music, and we're getting the rights to use She-Ra as properly as we should. Because I really feel that like they could have done a much lesser teaser of her than what we got. Like I can't even fathom. So and I'm so grateful, because if we do not, for some reason, which would be stupid, not get a sequel, you know, at least that was included in the movie.
Yes, I squeed so loud. I was like, I don't care who's left in the theater. I was like,
somebody in my theater said like, "Oh my god!" I didn't know if that was you, John.
It might have been. I know Adam looked over at me because like my jaw was on the ground. Like I just couldn't even like comprehend what was going on in front of my face.
Like I thought we'd get a tease, but not that.
yeah.
I really thought it would be the Horde. Like it would cut over to like a Horde plane or something, you know?
Well, like even at the scene at the end, I don't know if, I guess this is a way to talk about it. The very last scene, I thought that maybe Hordak would show up and pick up the skull.
Ooh.
Instead of Evil-Lyn.
Yeah.
I think Evil-Lyn's going to take the skull to Hordak.
Hordak.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
Very Mike
it.
Young, right? Like very Mike Young.
Yep.
But the whole She-Ra reveal moment there, a couple of things. One, I just want to say I knew it was coming and teared up anyway. And I gotta say, like, if you're not picking the transformation scene, for at least for me, this is the next best moment in the movie, which is a little bit sad because it's a teaser at the end, but oh my god, it was so well done. My sister, who's a huge She-Ra fan, just like her jaw dropped. She was just like, we were talking about it on the way out, that she could not have been more shocked at that moment. And yeah, they handled it really, really well, and they damn well better give us a sequel if they're going to tease us like
Yes.
that.
Right?
They even used her theme song. They used the theme music. Like I was just like flabbergasted that they spent the money to do this for a end credit teaser. Like kudos, thank you. I will be a Amazon Prime member for the rest of my life
Right?
to help fund that.
I mean, like, how amazing did the Fright Zone look? Like,
Yes.
Oh my god, because it was
really good.
Filmation. It wasn't
Yeah.
toy, right? Like it was the Filmation Fright Zone.
Yes.
Again, things that I would never think would be translated over into live action. Wow.
unfortunately, it did get spoiled for me, so I knew it was coming.
Aw.
I was literally, I was on some sort of social media, I can't remember where it was, but like when you flick through like a reel, and I must have watched the Masters of the Universe one, so the Masters of the Universe stuff was in my algorithm, and suddenly it was someone recording the screen, and I saw the Fright Zone, and I went, "Oh!" And I skipped past it, and I was like, "Oh god!" And I was like, "Oh no!" Unfortunately, if I hadn't been scrolling at that exact point, I wouldn't have seen it. So it's a shame, but I definitely would not have seen it come in if I hadn't seen that first.
Yeah.
Never would have expected that.
It is too, right? Like this is, if you are a longtime Masters of the Universe fan, if you are a dedicated fan, if you're not, if you're part of the, what I would consider the largest portion of the fan base, that Filmation was He-Man, not the mini comics, not whatever. Like, right? This was the moment where they were telling us, yeah, we know. Right?
Yeah.
Like these properties belong together. They're all part of one universe. We know, where we're acknowledging that now in a way that we haven't really done in 40 years. And that's pretty great.
Yeah. I love how they did it too with panning down the sword. So it gave you a moment to think, maybe it's not the She-Ra sword, but then it gets to the gem and it's like, sword! Just so well done. They teased the crap out of us. I'm here for it.
They even went all out on the costume, as you guys have sent me the photos that were out on social media, and like the fact that they even made a full-fledged costume when she doesn't even turn around. You know, you really only see the red cape, a little bit of the tiara. Even the fact that they spent the money on a full costume, like, fantastic, man. Like this, I think it's why I just get a little personally offended when I read like a negative review, because I'm like, yeah, well, the movie was for me, not for you, Wall Street Journal critic or whatever. Like, it's like, and it fulfilled what I've wanted, and I feel like we so often don't get anything for Masters of the Universe and Princess of Power, that we have so few things compared to like the explosion of like a DC Marvel media conglomerate. So it's just humbling, and I'm just appreciative of the entire experience. And if for some reason the movie doesn't do well, you know, people will point and fingers and everything, but at the end of the day, that's not going to remove my enjoyment of this experience. And I don't care if I'm biased, right? You can tell me you only liked it because you're a He-Man fan. Yes, I'm a He-Man fan. Like, and I liked it. So I don't think I have to explain it any further than that, or the merits of cinematic movie making. If I like the movie, I like the movie, and I don't care if I'm biased.
Yeah. It was a
Those
good
are my
time.
vibes.
Yeah.
They didn't
go ahead.
half-ass a single thing, I thought. Like everything felt like they put so much effort into every piece of the movie, from the costumes, the locations, the designs, like the little prologue with the forging of the swords, and like everything seemed to, with Procrustes, it was like everything just seemed to have so much I guess money thrown at it to make it look good. And if this had come out, I mean, I'm sure we all remember when we read that god awful script for the movie, like 2010 or whatever it was. Like, I think if we had gotten that movie, it would have died a death, and none of us would have enjoyed it. We all would have sat around after absolutely shell shocked in the Masters Cast recording, going, "What was your favourite part of the film? Was it the bit where Castle Grayskull had legs?" And then we all would have gone off really depressed, and we wouldn't have had any He-Man content until we were all dead. So and now 20 years later, we've actually got a really solid film that everyone has put a ton of effort into to make it the best thing possible.
Oh, absolutely. 100%, Martin. I think we have to end it there on Martin's speech there, because I think that is our opus, and that we're obviously going to have to record a couple more episodes to deep dive into the movie. So maybe we can consider this our first reaction spoiler fan discussion on the movie. We're all going to go see it again. Katie is going to go, even though those subtitles are going to creep up on her, vision. Because we didn't even get to talk about the score, which I love the score.
Oh, yes!
Of the movie.
Yep.
The 80s rock to it. And again, I just have to say it was such a magical moment to be a Masters of the Universe fan, and to fans that maybe unfortunately didn't like the movie. I do sympathize with you if that wasn't what you were, expecting, but I at least hope that they found some elements of the movie that brought them joy, whether it's just the transformation sequence or seeing the logo on the screen, come up. Anything you can find some joy in, I hope you did. And to the long time listeners of the podcast that date back, 20 plus years, I hope you enjoyed the movie, and thank you for, coming on the journey with us. Like, I'm talking as if this is the end, but I hope this is only the beginning.
Yes. Very well put, sir.
Well, they said it in the movie, so it's still in canon. When we are also leaving the gym after getting our pump on, what do we say?
Good journey. I want one of those kitten sweatshirts.
Oh, it'll be on one of those shops, I'm sure.